Let's spend 5 minutes talking about how you can conquer your concussion recovery. I'm Dr. Brittany Charlay. I'm a licensed physical therapist, and I have spent the last near decade helping people in the clinic to recover from brain injuries. And now we're bringing you this online series. I'm serious about those 5 minutes. So, the first tip that I'd have for anybody who's navigating concussion recovery is to remove as many things from their plate as possible. Here's what I mean by that. When you sustain a brain injury, whether it be a concussion, a moderate, severe traumatic brain injury, a brain aneurysm, a stroke, anything like that, the brain has to heal. Right now, it is in a state of inflammation and it's very busy trying to process all that has happened in order to recover from the injury. Now, we use our brain for everything. So we are constantly using it to make decisions, to navigate different situations. And so if we are still doing all of that, then it is going to be very hard for the brain to try to heal while still operating at full capacity, so to speak. If you can remove as many responsibilities or things off of your plate, this will allow your brain more space to actually process healing more efficiently. For example, a big one with adults, a lot of us are working. That's a big responsibility for us. And my suggestion is that you actually take off from work. I know this is really huge. This is going to be the burden is going to vary with all of us when it comes to that, right? Ideally, we would all have this lump sum in our savings where if we needed to take off work for several days, we just could and it wouldn't affect us at all. I know that it's not the case for many of us. Our savings is very limited. And so we're very focused on making sure that we're continuing to work to survive. However, if you are not able to remove some sort of responsibility from your plate when it comes to work, then you're continuing to basically calling your brain to rise to the occasion and continue operating at full capacity when it doesn't have the ability to do that at the moment. And you're actually setting yourself up for having symptoms for a longer period of time and potentially intensifying over time. So if you can't take off work completely for several days, modifying duties, so discussing this with your supervisor, your boss, extending deadlines, whatever you need to do to allow your brain to operate at a lower capacity so that it has the ability to actually work on healing while you're still doing these things. Same thing with if you're in school. So taking days off of school, extending deadlines if that's what you have to do because you can't completely stop school. Same thing if you're a parent, if you are a caregiver, seeing if you can delegate. Delegate is the name of the game right now, especially when you are very acute when it comes to your recovery. So if you can delegate, if you can pause on responsibilities, if you can remove them altogether, then that is ideal for you to give yourself space to heal. Now, this doesn't mean that you withdraw from everything. That's a big no-no. In the past, with concussion recovery, doctors used to recommend that people just stayed in a dark room by themselves until they felt better. And what was happening? People actually were not feeling better. They were feeling worse. So now we know to actually just pull back rather than complete withdrawal. It's not like you're not going to be using your brain if you decide to take off work for a few days, take off school for a few days, if you're not the primary caregiver of a child, of an elderly person, somebody, you will still be using your brain, but you will just be allowing your brain the space to heal. Think of it similar to straining a muscle in your leg. Okay, you would not continue to run 5 miles a day if that's what you're doing before you strained your leg. But you also would not get into bed and not get out for weeks. You would cut back on activity. You would maybe not run right now, but you would continue to walk and move around the house. And you would gradually start to do some exercises to maybe strengthen that muscle after it has gone through that inflammatory process and is not hurting as much. Same thing with your brain. If you continuously push it when you have a brain injury, you're not giving it any time to heal. And that's really not fair to your brain or you because you will feel the effects of this. It's not like you'll be able to just move through your day, move through life without dealing with this unhealed aspect of your brain. Okay, my time's up. I hope this was helpful. So remember, first things first with conquering concussion recovery is to remove as much as you can from your plate to give your body space for healing. All right, hope this was helpful. Again, I'm Dr. Brittany Charley, helping you to make sense of your brain injury recovery.